So the first question is, if we keep on forgiving, won't people mistake it for weakness and keep on hurting?
See, that is a very normal misconception people have, that it'll show up as a sign of weakness. No, it doesn't. Basically, it shows strength, and ultimately people learn to respect you. See, one of the things what you're saying is that people keep taking advantage of you. So that is why I told you that you learn from the incident. So if Andrew cheats me today, I don't let him cheat me tomorrow. So I'm on my guard with Andrew, but not with others, because I have learned from that experience. In fact, there is a Red Indian proverb: you cheat me once, shame on you. You cheat me twice, shame on me. Because you never let a person cheat you a second time. So one of the things I tell people, that we need to be absolutely stern in disciplining people. We forgive people, but we definitely discipline people. So what happens in the workplace, when looking at it from a work scenario, your staff does something wrong. If you don't discipline the staff, then the indiscipline is going to become rampant in the organization. So you need to discipline that staff. So now what about relationships outside the workplace, in the social setting? So if a person does something wrong, you ignore it once. The second time he does something wrong, you may want to just tell the person that, listen, you're doing this is not particularly helpful. But I'm not angry, I'm not dissing. I leave it to you to do what you want, because he's ruining his life. So why do I break my head on it? Well, he's not affecting me. But if he's stealing from me, for instance, whenever he's around, I'm going to keep an eye on my things to make sure he can't steal from me again. Because I know that this guy is not reliable in terms of things material. So that is where the learning comes. Instead of getting angry and carrying bitterness, you're learning about that person, you're learning from that incident, and you're learning how to control your behavior with that person in the future. Does that make sense? I hope it does anyway.
Yes, uncle. Thank you for that answer. So we have the next question. How can I forgive myself for the things I have done in the past, even though I didn't know what I was doing on that time? I realized it was wrong for me to do certain things, and I'm unable to forgive myself.
Yeah, see, actually, it's the whole problem is regret. But see, what happened, this is why I said the Buddha solution is so basic. The problem with Buddha's solution is he doesn't talk about relationships, what I am pushing for. That is not just ignoring material things, but building relationships. So what is happening? I did something wrong, and that has harmed me. That either harmed my relationship with someone, or it has harmed me financially, or it has harmed me in my life. And so I'm now carrying that anger with myself and not able to forgive myself. So what I think is that if I don't have this kind of passion or attraction to material things, I say, okay, I made a mistake, that is gone, I lost that, forget about it, and let's move on with life. So you can forgive yourself if you're not having that kind of an attraction to material things and worldly things. But I don't want to make it that I'm a total ascetic or anything like that, but I just want to say that my attachment to people is stronger than my attachment to material things. So I'm not saying that I'm not attached to material things, but I'm saying my attachment to people is stronger than my attachment to material things. So now if I made a mistake and I hurt someone, I can always go there and apologize to that person and try to rebuild the relationship if possible. If it's not possible, nothing can be done, but if possible, I can. So by doing that, I can get over my past mistakes and I can forgive myself and move on with life. But it is absolutely vital that you learn to forgive yourself, because if you don't forgive yourself, it's going to affect your relationships with people in the future. So that is something which you need to face up to and deal with. And if you're still finding it difficult to forgive yourself, you will need to meet a counselor and take a counselor's help to get out of that. So that is where a counselor's help may be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Uncle. So, if at all you need counselors' help, you can reach out to us at Lighthouse number, and we can connect to you with some professional counselor. So, the next question is the insulting words coming from a person who has heard them tends to form a thought loop and keeps on replaying. How to get out of this recorded loop?
Yeah, the way to get out of a recorded loop is basically to build your own self-esteem. So what is happening? Because I am having a low self-esteem, when somebody says that guy talked nonsense in the Lighthouse message today, I can get very offended or I can get very hurt, and that can carry on playing in my mind, saying that my message didn't make sense to people or whatever it is. But if I have reasonable amount of self confidence and self acceptance, and I know that, okay, I know what I am and I have confidence in myself, then what people say about me doesn't become that kind of a loop. But if I have weak self-esteem, then that can become a kind of a loop which continues to play in my mind. And then what I need to do is to confront myself. So I need to stand before, I tell people, stand before a mirror, take a look into your own eyes and tell yourself, why are you worried about that? So is it because you feel guilt that you did not prepare properly, or is it because you feel guilt that because you're not done well in that area? I tell you, listen, if I'm not done well in my area, but if I have tried my best, I'm satisfied. I may not have done well, that's fine, but I have been made with certain amount of gifts and certain amount of abilities. And because I have these gifts and abilities, people ask me to do things. Occasionally it doesn't come out that well, that's fine. I don't have to worry about it. So I need to confront myself, face myself and tell myself that, okay, this was a mistake, this was an error made. I forgive myself, I forget about it. I've learned the lesson, I know where it went wrong. Oh, that is something I didn't say. When something goes wrong like that, try and find out why it went wrong. And if you feel it did not go wrong, but still that person is making comments about you, then find out why is that person making that comment about you. This is where I said listening. Listen and try and understand why that person is saying that about you. Then you'll understand that it's not your problem, it's his problem, or it's the problem of his perception. And then you need to deal with his perception and see how you can change it. But you don't need to carry that kind of a guilt with you. So these are some of the ways in which we deal with it. One is confronting ourselves. Secondly, we know that we have done our best, so we don't worry about what others feel. And having absolute confidence in ourselves.
Thank you, Uncle. So the next question is, yeah, when there is grave injustice, normally the affected person will have a feeling that they need justice, which many times only God can provide. Is this feeling right?
See, it depends on the country you live in, but I find everywhere, even in America and all, you don't necessarily find justice coming. Okay. So what I'm finding that the pursuit of justice can be very time consuming and very heavy on consumption of emotions and your emotional energy and things like that. So I said, okay, I rather take the view that the world is unfair. There's nothing fair in this world. It's a part of life. So I'm not going to pursue justice. And if people do injustice to me, I just ignore it and carry on. Because I said, let me give you an example, for instance. In those days, I'm talking about 30, 40 years ago, when it was very difficult to get a reservation on a train. You had to go 3 months in advance, stand in a line for 1 hour to get a reservation. So I asked my boss, can I get leave for Christmas? He says, no, you cannot get leave for Christmas. I will not be able to spare you. So I didn't do any bookings for Christmas. So 3 days before Christmas, on 22nd of December, he tells me, yes, you can have your leave and you can go. Knowing full well that there's no way I can get into a train. There are no reservations available. Now I can sit there and carry it by saying that this is highly unjust and very unfair and all that. But I'm not built that way. So I picked up my family and I got into the unreserved compartment of the train and traveled from Lucknow to Chennai. And we had a good holiday and came back. And I said, I'm not going to carry any bitterness or anger. I'm going to learn from it. So the next year, I made a reservation, even though he said that leave will not be sanctioned. And sure enough, on 22nd, when he told me, yes, your leave is there, you can go, I had my reservation and went. So this is my point. Learn from the incident, Don't carry that bitterness, don't carry that injustice, and just carry on. Don't worry about it. So you will face all kinds of injustices in life. See, because one of the things that I should stand for is I will give justice. What other people may do, I'm going to give justice to people. And so because I give justice to people, very often I have to face injustice. So I do a selection and I select a person who should be selected. And a minister and various big shots are given you names to be selected. And you said, sorry, I'm not going to do that. And so they transfer you, they kick you around, they push you into different places. I said, fine. I said, I have no problem. I am willing to work anywhere. And I'm going to learn from that. So that is the way I look at it, rather than trying to get justice. That's why I said when my house got robbed, I didn't worry about it. I did not go to the police and file a complaint saying that the robber had treated me unjustly. I said, no, I don't worry about that. I just carry on with life. Now, sometimes the loss is so large and so huge that you need to do something about it. In which case, do it. I'm not saying don't do it. You can't shirk your responsibilities. So if the loss is large and the loss is serious, you may have to deal with it, deal with it. But when you are dealing with it, don't deal with it in anger. Because when you're angry, your brain stops functioning and you'll mess yourself up. So get over your anger. You said, I'm not going to be angry. This is what the guy has done. I'm going to deal with him. And then move on from there. But if you retaliate in anger and with bitterness, you are likely to create problems for yourself. So that is the only advice I would give in that. But I do realize that injustice is the most difficult thing to take. You can take loss of material things, you can take anything, but injustice is what people find difficult.
Very true, uncle. Yeah, thank you. So the next question is, if you are helping someone without any selfish reason and that person becomes sad, then what we have to do? Continue helping others or stop because of the fear of hurting someone?
No, see, very deep question that, and a very true question. See, what happens? I want to help someone, I need to do it sensibly. If I don't do it sensibly, I've hurt people. One of the things I learned early in life, for instance, that helping people financially will make them your enemies. Because, you kind of destroy their self-esteem when you go there and give charity. Charity never really builds people. So the kind of help I'm looking at is listening to people. People are desperately looking for people to listen to them, to hear their stories, so that to understand them. And that is the kind of thing which we can do. So I'm saying build relationships. And when I'm talking about helping people, I'm helping people get over their hurts, helping people to get over their difficulties and problems, but not necessarily charity, because charity has to be done very carefully. I do a lot of charity, but charity has to be done very carefully so that it does not lower the self-esteem of the person who is being helped. So we need to be careful in all that. But I would say that, okay, if something goes wrong, learn from that and continue doing the same activity, but with the learning which you have learned. Don't keep repeating the same mistake, but don't stop the activity. That would be a mistake.
Yeah, thank you, uncle. So yeah, the next question is an interesting question. When we say I forgive this person, what should be the true output from me to really show I wholeheartedly forgive?
When you see that person smile, if your blood pressure goes up and you see that person, then you are still having a problem. So those are the kind of symptoms. That means it doesn't really affect me. Some people would say, go and give him a gift or show that you have no anger with him and that you are willing to continue to relate with him, which is fine. That also can be done. So if somebody has done harm to you, you can always go there and tell him that this is okay. And you're continuing to have a relationship with him. But you can always check yourself. Is your blood pressure going up? How do you treat to the person? How do you respond when that person comes? Those are the things which will show you whether you're truly forgiven that person or not.
Yeah, thank you, uncle. So the next question is also on the similar lines. Even if I forgive other people, I'm unable to talk to other people.
Yeah, that's because you're not really forgiven them. So you're still carrying that hurt with you. And so that is why you're finding it difficult to talk to that person. So I need to put all that behind me. And so I would like to drill down and say, I mean, this is what I normally tell people. When you get angry, ask yourself why you're getting angry. What is it? What exactly is it that is making you angry? So you need to identify that. For if you tell me, no, he did that, that's why I'm angry. I said, okay, why is it that you're getting angry because he did that? So you need to drill down to the absolute root. And once you've identified what it is that is making you angry, then you need to renounce that and say that, okay, I am not going to worry about this and have no concern. So if you don't deal with the root, you may think you've forgiven the person, but you're not really, you may have forgiven the person, but you're still carrying the hurt. And since you're still carrying the hurt, you're finding it difficult to relate to that person. So I need to drill down to the root and find out what exactly is it that is causing the anger. And then I need to deal with that anger.
Yeah. Thank you, uncle. So, yeah, how can we forgive a person who has been abusive to us? Won't our forgiveness will give that a person a chance to take advantage on others as well? How do we handle it, uncle?
See, when you're saying abusive to us, if he's using words don't worry me. The words don't harm me. He can be abusive, he can do what he wants. It doesn't harm me. So I have no problem with that. But what you're saying is that he may be abusive to others. Now that is a valid point. One of the points which people have told me about my philosophy in life is that you're letting people get away with things, and that may result in him harming other people also. And therefore we need to confront. So that is a reality, and I admit that the way my approach to life is can let criminals like this go scot-free, which can result in them harming others also. That is a problem. But see, if a person, for instance, physically attacks you, now should you ignore that? Depends on the situation. If it was some kind of a heated situation, like you bumped his car with your car or something like that, probably you could ignore it and carry on. But if it was something else, you may need to deal with it. All situations cannot be just ignored and moved on. So you may have to file police complaints or report it to authorities and deal with it. Nothing wrong with that. But that's why I said when you're dealing with this, make sure you're not angry. Because when you are angry, you will not be thinking straight and you will cause more problems for yourself. So you need to first calm down, leave your anger behind, and said, okay, now this guy is behaving like this guy needs to be dealt with. So let us report him to the authorities. And report him to the authorities, but don't unnecessarily get blood pressure and work yourself up on that. So that is the way I would look at it.
Thank you, uncle. So we have the last few questions. So yeah, self-esteem and self-confidence now means to self-love, and people conclude that to vanity and pride. Is it right?
See, self-esteem is not self-love. Okay. Love is very often confused with lust. And so self-love becomes self-lust, where you just gorge yourself and spoil yourself and live yourself in some kind of luxury. That's not self-esteem. Self-esteem is having a proper understanding of yourself, so that my understanding of myself is not dependent on others, is not dependent on comparing myself with others, but is dependent upon me understanding that I am a unique and special creation in this world, and I have an identity of my own. And that identity does not depend on others. It depends on me and myself alone. So that is good self-esteem. Whereas self-love can become totally selfishness and indulgence in the self and destruction of the self ultimately. Remember what I said, focus on self is madness. Becomes self. Self-esteem doesn't make the focus self. Self-esteem means that the self is confident of itself and is not dependent on others. But our focus continues to be on building relationships with people and helping others.
Yeah, thank you, Uncle. So the next question is a long question. The things that happened in my past makes me to feel inferior, and I'm not able to come out of it. It makes me to go down than by being moving forward. Does this mean I have not forgiven my past wholly, and my inferiority complex increases day by day, and I'm not able to come out of it, and I start blaming myself each day that I'm not worth of living?
Right. So this is a typically self-esteem problem, so which you need to deal with. And essentially, see, basically, I mean, if I was in your place, I'd probably make a list of what are all the various failures which I've had and what are the failures I'm having. And then worry about why am I having these failures, identify it. If I don't have the skill or the capability, I have not been given that skill and capability, I don't worry about it. I said, I'm not good at it, so why worry about it? Like if you look at my school days, I never scored more than 40% or 50% in subjects like English, history, geography, and things like that. So I don't worry about it. That's not where my skill and my skill sets are. So I need to identify that, and I need to identify what are my strengths. So that is where something like the Strength Finders book and all will help you identify what are your strengths. And then say that, okay, this is my identity. When I'm trying to be Superman when I'm not, I'm developing self-esteem problems. I'm probably developing a low self-esteem. But when I know who I am and what I am, then I don't worry about the areas where I'm failing, where that's not important, where that's not who I am. And I need to focus on who I am. Now, ultimately, we are not able to get ourselves out of that loop, I would say. You need to go for counseling help and get a counselor who can help you get out of that loop so that you're able to take control of your life. But you should not remain there because that's a very, very bad place to be in. So you need to take control of your life.
Thank you, Uncle. So once again, you can, if at all you need any professional help, there's our about Lighthouse contact details. So you can contact us in case you want us to connect you with any professional. So this is the last question as of now. Is there any approach to calm ourselves, assuming from anger?
Yeah, I understand the question. See, because, okay, when we get our emotions go up and go high and all that, how do you deal with it? So the usual, what the people recommend is go for a walk. See, one of the things they tell people, if somebody annoys you, leave the room and go for a walk. Come back when you're calm. When you're calm, you can then deal with it. You can either talk to that person or you can ignore that person, which way you choose. But you need to do it when you're calm, not when you're angry. So one of the ways people say is going for a walk. The other, of course, people say meditation. I have not really tried meditation, so I can't really tell you the plus points and the negative points. But many people recommend meditation or being quiet. Some people find that probably petting a pet or something like that calms them down. Or sometimes they find that some individuals are there whose presence calms them down. So you need to find out what is it that calms you down. For some people, sitting by the beach calms them down. So calm yourself, then get back and try to work out the situation. But don't deal with the situation when you're all excited. It's not going to help.